over the past 10 months, we have conducted a bipartisan investigation into this growing problem of sex trafficking on the Internet. This morning, Senator McCaskill and I have a request to make of the committee, and I'll ask Senator McCaskill to speak in a moment. In order to address the problem of selling children and coerced adults in online marketplaces in a legislative manner, first we need to understand it better, and that's what our work has been. And it has been not just bipartisan, but nonpartisan, and it's about trying to get to the bottom of what's happening. At the PSI hearing we had in November, the subcommittee heard testimony from a group called the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, a highly regarded group nationally that monitors and tracks this issue. And they told us that 71% of all suspected sex trafficking reports, this is children sex trafficking, has a connection and a link to Backpage.com. 71%. Now, they have a hotline, so they hear from a lot of people, and in almost 3/4 of those cases, it's related to Backpage. I was in Ohio this week, met with 4 women who had been trafficked. They're now in a program to deal with their drug addiction and help them get back on their feet. All 4 of them talked about it and talked about the coercion that they were under and the fact that Backpage was how they were sold. So despite all that information, Backpage has publicly talked about they have an internal screening process as an effective tool in the fight against human trafficking. That's what they've said publicly. Congress, of course, is very interested in learning about effective strategies to prevent women and children from being sold for sexual abuse, but Backpage refuses to give us answers to legitimate questions. And these are questions about their internal practices. You know, how does it work? How does their screening process work? We issued a subpoena for documents about these procedures because they wouldn't give them voluntarily, and Backpage refused to comply with our subpoenas. In November, Senator McCaskill and I issued a detailed 19-page letter ruling explaining why Backpage's objections to the subpoena have no merit and directing the company to produce the required documents. Backpage's lawyers have told us they will not comply with our ruling. What's more, they told us the company won't even look for the material. So those of you who are involved in investigations, I know Senator McCain, you have, and Senator Carper and others, I have not been in a situation where a company says they won't even look for it. Sometimes they say, we've looked, we just can't find it. They refuse to look for it, and they've said that to us. So this is a clear sign that they're not dealing with us in good faith. Senator McCaskill and I today, as a result, are asking the committee to report a resolution to authorize civil enforcement and contempt proceedings against Backpage and against its CEO, Carl Ferrer, to require compliance with the subcommittee's subpoena on these documents. The next logical step in our investigation is this civil contempt proceeding, but we reserve the right, of course, to take further action against Mr. Ferrer for his failure to comply with the subcommittee's subpoena. For those of you who were at the hearing, you know this, but we called Mr. Ferrer, who had said he was going to testify. The day before, he said he might not come. He refused to show up. So, you know, we had an empty chair. He wouldn't even talk to us. So, again, I'm grateful for Senator McCaskill for her partnership on this and our staff work. We've been working shoulder to shoulder on this from the start, and many of you have been involved. I'd like her to say a few words, if she would, before we have a vote.